What's up, YouTube? Just thought I'd come on and do a quick review. I bought a Swisher mower. It's a pull it behind your ATV, rough cut mower. They call it the Country Cut 44-inch. Anyway, thought I'd give you a little quick review, pros and cons, what I like about it and what I don't. So here we go, Swisher rough cut mower, Country Cut 44-inch. This one's got the electric start and the remote blade engage. So you just mount that to your ATV or whatever. It's got a key for engine start. Flip the lever down to engage the blade. They do have a model, I believe that's a pull start, and you engage the blade on the unit itself. I didn't want that. I liked the ability to start it and stop it, and engage and disengage the blade from my ATV. So I decided to go that route. Fuel tank seems small, but I filled it up and I mowed for probably 2+ hours, maybe close to 3 hours, at least over 2 hours, and still have probably a quarter tank of fuel in there. So it is fairly fuel efficient. Now, I wasn't constantly mowing thick grass. I'll show you here in a minute what I was mowing. So if you're constantly mowing like a pasture with thick grass, your fuel economy may not be as good as mine. I don't know, time will tell. So pros, it does an amazing job. The thing is, it's sturdy, it's heavy duty, it's well built. I drug it over stumps, I drug it over logs that were laying there, and it never missed a beat. This one's got the 14.5 horse engine, Briggs & Stratton. Anyway, it did a great job. It cut well. Downside, I believe the biggest one to me is that the wheels are on the outside of the deck. And of course, you have these guards here that protect the wheel if you were to run up against a tree, which is great that you can see this one skin up where I bumped up against some trees. The problem with that is that if you have a tree line, or you need to be able to get close to trees or poles or whatever, you can only cut within, I would say, 6 to 8 inches of a tree or pole or whatever, because you can't get any closer to it than that because of the wheel and the wheel guard. Now, the DR mowers have 4 wheels, and they are set front and rear inside the deck so that you can cut right up against something with the deck. So that is one pro to the DR version over the Swisher. So that's one negative. The other negative is it's not real easy to adjust the height. Now, once I had it set, I set it and left it, but I did want to raise it back up when I got done. And this little crank here it just seems a little flimsy. There's not much to it, and it's not real smooth. I'm going to grease that piece of all thread real good and see if that helps in raising and lowering it. I think that it will. I think it's just dry in there. I don't know why they don't do this. I wish they had, and I'm thinking about installing one. Is a grease zerk. So I'm thinking about drilling a hole through the front of this tube here and installing a grease zerk so that I can just occasionally shoot a little grease in here. That way it greases as it runs through, as opposed to just having to smear grease or some kind of lube all up and down the piece of all thread there. Maybe make it a little less messy. Other pros, it came on a pallet. There's the remnants of the pallet. It was extremely well put together. They didn't spare any expense on staples when they put that pallet together. There were so many daggum staples in it, I had to beat the crap out of it to get it apart. So it was pretty well secured in the pallet. It comes with this crossbar here, unmounted, so that's laying in the crate, and then your tow bar. So when you get it, before you can drag it off the crate, you kind of have to knock the walls down, take the top off, knock the walls down, and mount this crossbar, and then mount your tow bar, and then you can kind of pull it off the crate. Unless you've got some help or a way to lift it, unless you're just a hoss of a man, you're not going to roll this thing off the crate by hand. I couldn't anyway. Not strong enough. It's pretty stinking heavy. So it was a little difficult to put together on the crate. Getting the nuts on these bolts isn't that easy. As you can see, the front of this thing, where that channel is boxed off, so you kind of have to reach under the mat and around that and inside that channel to get your nylon lock nuts on those bolts. Kind of having to do it blind, but once you get it on there, it's not bad. I was able to do it by myself. It was a little aggravating trying to hold it up there and get the bolts in, but I was able to do that on my own and get the tow bar mounted. So assembly was pretty easy. It's something that you can do by yourself. Other negatives, there really aren't any so far that I found. I've only used it once. It did great. One thing is that unless you order a battery, I can't remember if Swisher has batteries that you can order along with it or not. I didn't even think to look, so it came without a battery. So I did have to run and grab just your standard U1 lawnmower battery. It mounts under this little flip up deal here. It's got screws that go through here, screw into here, that keep that shut. Problem with that is I stuck the battery in there with the terminals to the front, and this is slanted, and so now it won't close all the way so that I can get the screws back in to screw the lid shut. So I've actually got to spin that battery around. I'm gonna take the terminals off and then spin it around, and then that should allow me to shut my lid completely and put the screws back in it. First start, she fired right up, no problem. Took a second for it to get fuel from the gas tank into the motor. Obviously it was shipped dry. It did have oil in it, so that's good. But filled it up full, took a second to cycle the fuel through. Once the fuel cycled through, she fired right up and ran fine. I didn't mow anything extremely heavy. It says you can cut up to a 3-inch sapling. I didn't run over anything that big. I did run over a lot of vines and small shrubs and trees that have grown up. So we had our property cleared a couple of months ago. A guy came in with a tractor and one of those big mulchers, and he just kind of mulched everything for us, all the underbrush and the small trees. And this is what it looked like when it got done. But over the last couple of months, it has grown up, and I had a bunch of just this kind of thing, privy hedge and vines, and of course all the stumps were regrowing trees. I'm sure if you have property, you're familiar with that. So the whole entire area basically had this kind of crap just growing everywhere. You can see the areas that are green where I've mowed. The mower took care of it. It did a really good job. Didn't have any trouble knocking any of that stuff down. Again, you can see where I wasn't able to get real close to that tree. Left a little bit of scrub there by that tree. Couldn't get between some of them either. So let me show you. The whole entire property basically looked like what it looks like between those trees. And I mowed it. See, that's a bunch of muscadine vines and some small trees that have sprouted back up. But the mower handled it just fine. I'm hoping to not have to mow it but about once a month to keep it all knocked back. We'll we'll see how much this stuff grows in the summer with all the rain we're getting. Hopefully we'll have some grass starting to grow this next year, and I'll be able to just mow the grass as opposed to having to mow trees and weeds. But anyway, like I said, the mower did a good job. I didn't get any video while I was using it. It came in, I put it together, put the bar on it anyway, filled it up with gas, got a battery, and went to work. You know how it is when you get a new toy. I was so excited to get going and try it out that I didn't think to get out my camera and make any video while I was cutting. But I'll try and do that next time. There are a whole bunch of videos already on YouTube of people using them to mow, so you can see other people's videos that show how they're using them to clear their property. But anyway, just a couple of things that I noticed, pros and cons for mine. The pros greatly outweigh the cons. Again, the only things really that I would say are negative are it's a little stiff trying to crank that elevation knob and get it set at the right deck height, and then the fact that you just can't get real close to the trees with it. But I knew that when I ordered it over the DR. Price wise, this cost a little less than the DR, and I think you get a better bang for your money over the DR in the same price range, because in this price range with the DR, you're not getting the electric start and the remote blade engage. So that's a huge plus for me with the Swisher. But anyway, if you have any questions or comments or whatever, feel free to ask them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. If it's something I don't know, we'll figure it out. Appreciate y'all watching.